All right, I think we're live. I hope we're live. All right, I think we're live. We are live. Sweet. It's been a long freaking time, guys. It's been a long time since I have gone live on this channel, but we have gotten, funny enough, we've gotten like 30 some odd subscribers in the past 28 days. So I wanted to hop on and just kind of say what's up and give my story and talk to you guys and update those who have been here for a while about what I've been doing, what's been going on. So yeah, why do I have the StreamYard thing up there? Let's see, powered by StreamYard. Thing up there. I should not have that. Well, anyways, so where do I start? I posted a video today, and I think it was called if I got diagnosed with, if I got diagnosed with POTS again, here are the things that I would do. And so I posted that because I saw that there's a lot of people subscribing to the channel. And my personal opinion about why that may be is because POTS seems to just be popping up more and more. And so I figured that if there's people coming to the channel, that means that there's people suffering. It means that there's people hurting. And so I should offer them whatever I can. So I'm not going to say that every single week, all the time, there's going to be, 1 to 2 videos, but we're going to post. So there we go. Okay. So anyways, my name is Justin Quintero. If you are new here, I was diagnosed with POTS like 7-8 years ago, something like that. At the time, it was just known as dysautonomia. It wasn't POTS syndrome. Really, I was told that it was POTS, but they didn't really know much about it. It was basically just dysautonomia. And then, so I had been to the hospital I think like in 1 year about 14 times. Man, I've told this story so many times, but I still like sometimes forget. So I went to the hospital about 14 times in a year and had no idea what was going on. Doctors told me it was anxiety a bunch of times and all these different things, right? All the tests came out normal, EKGs and the stress echoes, stuff like that. Eventually, one day, an ER doc told me that you have something weird happening with your orthostatic numbers. You should get that checked out. And so I was like, all right, cool, sweet, at least something. I did what most people with POTS do, and I WebMD'd it and figured out that I had POTS syndrome. And it seemed like doomsday at the time. It was like, holy crap, there's this thing. Nobody gets this. It's super rare. I'm the only guy on earth that got this. It just is soccer chicks that get this. Blah, blah, blah. Feeling sorry for myself. And so eventually I get the referral to a neurologist who says, yeah, it sounds like POTS, confirms it. Then she gives me the referral to an electrocardiologist. And that electrocardiologist was probably the best appointment that I ever could have had. Like, I got really lucky in getting that referral because that doctor had told me basically not to worry about it. He was like, yeah, you have POTS. Seems like it. We're not going to do the tilt table test because it's a waste of money and time. We're not going to do the heat box test or whatever it was at the time because it's a waste of money and time. If you have POTS or POTS symptoms, act like you have POTS symptoms. Do the things that you would normally do. And so all the information that they had at that time was basically just like eat more sodium and drink more water and try to exercise. But nobody had taught me how to exercise with this new thing. I was a super, like, not super fit, but I was like a fit individual. I was powerlifting and doing strongman bodybuilding. And the only way I knew how to work out was like that, right? Was hard. And there was no instructions. I don't think the CHOPS protocol was a thing yet. Um, thank goodness the CHOPS protocol was not a thing yet, because I probably wouldn't have gotten to where I got in the period of time that I got if I was following the CHOPS protocol. And so I was left to my own devices to figure it out. And from the research that I had been doing, I was looking at what the literature was currently on POTS syndrome. If you guys are in this video right now, drop a comment real quick. But I was looking at the literature on POTS that there was, and seeing that they were training like zone 2 stuff on recumbent bikes, or it was mostly recumbent bikes. And so I was like, okay, zone 2 recumbent bikes. I had prior exercise science, experience. I'd been in the industry for a long time. Like, all right, cool, blah, blah. And I started extrapolating things from like my education already to the literature that I was reading, and then just like putting pieces together, right? And so I ended up creating a plan that was cardiovascular heavy, and eventually hired back on my bodybuilding coach and told him what was going on. He was a super smart dude. Like legitimately a Yale student, like so smart. I can't even explain it. And I told him what was going on. I was like, I need you to help me with this. And then he helped me. He helped me create a resistance training program after I got myself somewhat better. That was slow and progressive in nature. And then eventually got to the point where I was doing CrossFit competitively and just feeling better, right? Feeling way better. I like to say that I'm in remission. I like to say that I am recovered. There are days where like I get potsy, I guess, but no like debilitating days, no freak out moments, no, oh my gosh, I'm gonna, pass away moments, stuff like that. And since then, since I have gotten myself better, I've had people reaching out for a few years now about POTS coaching. And there's only ever been one person that I wasn't able to basically help get to the position that I'm in. And I feel very fortunate for that. Only ever one person, which is pretty wild considering, how POTS is and how the people are. And so the main points that I pointed out in the video that I posted today, if you have not watched it yet, are basically get around the right types of people. And what's so common in the POTS community that people need to get away from is get off the freaking Reddit and Facebook groups. And I tell every single client of mine this: get off the Reddit and Facebook groups, because they are of no help. They will not help you out. They are just there to sulk, right? They just want to complain. They just want to talk shit. They just want to feel bad. And then the second thing was, what was the second thing? First one was the Facebook groups and the Reddit groups. The second one was do all the testing, because what I later found out, literally super recently, was that I had really bad mold toxicity. And I used to like, mold toxicity to me used to be like bullshit, right? It was complete bullshit. And then I felt the effects of mold toxicity and I was like, oh shit. So I said, test for like everything: mold toxicity, organic acids, food sensitivities, if you can, like whatever the wallet basically allows, get that test done. And I think that that's so important, because my personal opinion, even I work with POTS clients now, and we're about to launch something for people with POTS, because this channel, for whatever reason, is exploding. And I've been working on this thing a little bit. I'll tell you guys about that later. But yeah, I thought it was bullshit. But the more that I've like spoke to people, I really think that POTS is like a symptom rather than it is the thing, right? I don't believe, and this is just speculation. I say this in a bunch of live streams. I used to say this in a bunch of live streams. POTS, I think, is a symptom of something and not the illness, right? So I think that POTS is a byproduct of something else. Could be mold, could be gene mutations, could be some sort of stressor. Because it's super common. I said this in the video too. It's super common that when I take on a new POTS client, that the POTS didn't just show up. Like something happened in life, some sort of stress, whether you consider it to be stress or not. That's usually part of my onboarding process, talking about what got you there. Usually some sort of life event has happened, whether it's like work stress or financial stress or, a breakup or some argument with a spouse, and then boom, and you didn't realize that you had all these other mini micro stressors around, and then a big event happened and it all just compiled and then sent your nervous system into fight or flight mode permanently. So something else that I've worked on with a lot of POTS clients is nervous system resetting. And it's not this bullshit of the program, whatever the program's called. I don't even know anymore because it's so irrelevant to me whenever people bring it up. They talk about, what is it? I think it's like that. It's like a total breathwork thing and a mindfulness thing. It's bullshit. It doesn't work. And not one client that I have worked with has that worked if they've tried it before. Not one. So nervous system resetting, like autonomic nervous system resetting, resetting the vagal tone, and like exercising and food. Those are the two last steps that I talked about in the video too, was food and exercise. But all of this stuff compiles to resetting your autonomic nervous system, right? Exercise helps the autonomic nervous system. Breath work helps the autonomic nervous system. Grounding helps the autonomic nervous system. Sunlight and resetting circadian biology. These are all things that are so integral that no one is telling POTS people to do. No one. And like no doctors, no conventional medicine. And those are all the things that I think like POTS people, like, dude, let's just go down the list of stuff. Hold on. Luke commented, any ideas for managing heat intolerance and then gradual exposure? POTS with EDS comorbidity here, up to 30 minutes treadmill, brisk walk, a bit of weightlifting, which I'm stoked about. Yeah, so I actually just talked to somebody on the phone about this week. My recommendation is that it's summer right now, okay? And so we'll talk about the sleep thing too, because this is really important right now. So with POTS people, something that is super common is lack of sleep and bad sleep, okay? And so in this case, and I'm going to bring it to heat intolerance and gradual heat exposure, just bear with me. What I think is really important is resetting your circadian biology. And so a lot of people with POTS, they can't sleep well. And there's a couple things that you need to do to clean up your sleep hygiene in order to be able to manage heat. And that is, you need to get on a normal sleep-wake cycle, period. You need to make the wake cycle the most important part of your sleep and wake cycle in order to accomplish this. So if you are somebody who cannot fall asleep, let's say you get like 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night, you need to make sure that you are waking up between 5 and 5:45 in the morning every single day, regardless of the amount of sleep that you have gotten for at least 5 to 7 days. I'll tell you why that's so important, especially with the heat intolerance thing. Because you need to let your nervous system and your brain know that this is the time that we wake up, which means that we need to go to bed sooner. I need you to fall asleep. Eventually, you're going to hit a point of exhaustion where it's like, oh shit, I can't not sleep anymore. And another way to handle this is like, if you find yourself tossing and turning, because a lot of people get these, what they call adrenaline dumps at night. My opinion, what it actually is your circadian biology is completely off. You don't produce melatonin at night. Instead, what happens is you produce cortisol because you have not trained your body and your hormones to be able to produce cortisol in the morning when it's supposed to, because you wake up so late, because it's a function of you staying up too late. Where if you would just stay up, and even if you don't get sleep one night, if you just stay up, get out of bed at that same time every single day, you're producing cortisol, because the first thing you're going to do is go get in the sun and go expose yourself to the heat. Okay. So you're exposing yourself to the sun. You're getting those UV rays into your eyes, onto your skin. And you are also microdosing your heat exposure immediately. It's summer right now. This is the perfect time to do this. It is the perfect time. July, no matter what state you're in, it is the perfect time. You get in the sun and it might be 70 degrees, and you stay in there and you look to the horizon, you look where the light is for 5 to 10 minutes, your max tolerable amount of time. And you increase slowly until you get to about 10 to 15 minutes, because you're probably not going to do 10 minutes your first time. Connect your feet to the ground. You can kill 3 birds with 1 stone here. Wake up, sunlight, sun exposure, heat exposure. Oh, kill 4 birds. And then grounding. Grounding is just going to help with the negative charge from the earth. It's going to help you relax, set your autonomic nervous system, whatever. We'll talk about that completely in a different thing. These are the 4 habits that you need to have in order to start your day off right and be able to reset your autonomic nervous system. Reset. So the heat exposure thing, you're going to microdose it immediately in the morning, regardless of how tired you are, regardless of how much sleep you got, whatever. The next thing that I need you guys to really think about, we're like going way off of how I started this live, but whatever, I'll give you guys the value. If you find yourself tossing and turning at night, crazy thoughts, you can't stop your head from spinning, you need to get out of bed. Get out of bed. If you have laid there for 30 minutes already, get out of your bed and go somewhere else in the house. Go read, go watch a little bit of TV. I don't even care about the exposure with the blue light at this point. If you're somebody who lacks sleep so often and has the most trouble falling asleep, I just need you to get out of your bed. Because what happens here, and I learned this recently from my ultra marathon prep, my cortisol went crazy. I think I made a video on this, on how I wasn't sleeping, whatever. And I wish I would have known this when I was going through POTS. But what happens is, if you lay in bed and you toss and turn for hours and you can't sleep and your thoughts are going crazy, boom, 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 you are literally training your nervous system and your brain to think that bed is not where we sleep, right? So you need to retrain it to think that it is where you sleep. And the way that you do that is you get out of bed, and it's basically just tricking your mind to think that, oh, we're not sleeping yet, so I got to get out of bed because the bed is where I sleep. The bed is where I sleep. That's why you take your dog outside to go pee a bunch, even when he doesn't have to pee, right? Because you're training him. This is where I go if I have to do this behavior. And so if you're doing this behavior of overthinking, adrenaline dumping, and you're in bed, that's where that is going to associate with. So you in your brain and your nervous system. So you need to get out of it and go somewhere else. Go on the couch. If you end up falling asleep on the couch, awesome. That's totally fine. You're going to get some sleep. You still got to wake up at 5 or 5:45 in the morning. Go do your grounding. Go get your heat exposure and go view the sunlight. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Luke, I hope that helped you out. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. I'm going to answer questions during this. So give me whatever you need from me. Sweet, Luke. I'm happy that you got value from that exchange right there. So I think that in older posts, this is turning into like a sleep study type of video. In older posts, I used to talk about how important sleep was and how you need to supplement for sleep and all these different things. And I still think that that's super true. But I think lifestyle habits with POTS goes freaking the furthest that anything else will ever go for it. Because again, it's autonomic dysfunction, right? So like you need to be training this is why I've said in so many lives, in so many videos, the CHOPS protocol doesn't work, because it teaches you how to exercise and how to regulate in a certain position, prone, laying down, seated, whatever. And if you want to learn how to get up and walk again, you need to get up and walk again. If you want your body to regulate blood pressure and heart rate in the gym, lifting weights, doing cardio, then you need to do those things in order for it to learn that. It's not just going to learn it on its own. And then you get hit with the thought like, oh, well, maybe, people want to take it slow, and I understand that. I get it. However, you're never going to know if you're ready unless you like just start doing the thing, right? So what this looks like is like, maybe you'll do 5 air squats one day, and then you'll do 6 air squats the next day, 7 air squats, because that's the max tolerable volume that you have. So you just do that. And then the next week you do 2 sets of that. And then the week after that, you do 3 sets of that, right? And so getting back to what I was talking about is that lifestyle goes a long way, right? And sleep is the number one thing. And I used to talk about supplementing collagen and glycine and all these different things. And I still agree with that. I still think that that's super good. But a lot of you guys just have trouble because you just can't fall asleep. And these supplements aren't helping you because your brain is wired and because your nervous system is just wired to like, and it's already in a position where it thinks that the bed is not the place to sleep. So even taking those supplements is not going to help you because your nervous system and your brain can't regulate enough to realize like this is where we go to bed. So you need to figure that out. And again, the way you do that by having a normal sleep cycle. And regardless of how much sleep you get, you wake up at the same time and you walk away. Samir, I have hyperpots. My blood pressure increases when I'm upright, not all the time, but sometimes when I overdone it, sleep is perfect. How do I start working out when blood pressure can get really high? So this is a great reason to work out because working out helps lower your blood pressure naturally. I actually had the same thing that you did in terms of, and back when I was diagnosed with POTS, there was no hyper and there was no like adrenal. There was not all these terms for POTS or different subcategories of POTS, but I was of the category that my blood pressure would actually spike, like skyrocket. And so this is exactly like working out is going to help this case because working out for the obese population, not like you can extrapolate from different populations of illness and people to see what might help you. For your individual case, your blood pressure increases when you're upright. And so the way that I would go about this is start by getting steps in. This is how I suggest a bunch of my POTS clients start their process is just doing steps first. What steps does is it's kind of like a magic tool in the sense that like you can get a lot of efficiency and things done doing steps because it's like many doses of cardio throughout the day. And if we know anything about exercise, I mean, increasing muscle mass is going to lower blood pressure, but really what lowers blood pressure over time is aerobic activity. So getting steps in is basically microdosing your aerobic activity. And so if you're somebody who can't really tolerate being upright for that long, you just stay upright for as long as you can tolerate it. And so I had a call earlier this week with somebody with POTS who's actually local. And I was like, we want to flirt and toe the line of like feeling like, oh my gosh, like the anxiety, right? Because what happens is a lot of people will start like they'll start doing shit, like a lot of shit, and they'll feel benefit. And then they overdo it. And they send themselves in a frenzy. And then they end up going to the hospital and the anxiety happens. And oh my gosh, I'm going to die. But they're not actually going to die. You've been through this process 1,000 times before. You've gotten the test, you got the EKG. Everything is always fine. Everything is always fine every single time. But what that does, it does this thing. It like messes with this. Now it's like, I don't want to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. It's too dangerous. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And the words I can't start happening, right? So for someone like you who's like not on the fitness journey yet, you need to figure out how to get your fitness back. It's micro dose your steps throughout the day. So I would start with maybe like 4,000 steps per day, and you're micro dosing that by doing like 5 minutes of walking, or like every hour on the hour, or every 30 minutes on the 30-minute type thing. And then just increase over time. Like now I'm going to walk for 10 or 7 minutes. Now I'm going to walk for 9. Now I'm going to walk for 10, 11. You see what I'm saying? Until you can get yourself to a point where you're walking like, or like you're fine enough to get yourself to the gym, and then you're walking 10K steps, and then you're doing like 2 sets of 2 exercises or 3 sets of 3 exercises, stuff like that. I hope that makes sense. Samir, does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if you got some value from that. You guys who are just joining the live stream, ask your questions. I'm here to answer today. I wanted to reintroduce myself to the channel because we've gotten an influx of subscribers recently. Like we've gotten a bunch of subscribers recently. So I wanted to come on and kind of do like a little Q&A thing. I kind of talked about my POTS journey in the beginning of this. You guys are popping in, so give me your questions. My views now compared to my old videos have changed quite a bit on a lot of this stuff as I've gotten more experience, more POTS clients, things of that nature. So I really value you guys asking questions and making me think about this stuff. It helps me out a lot too, because I get to know what the questions are. What do people actually want to know? Samir, did that answer your questions? Hubley is back in the chat. My boy has grown. The forehead gains. The forehead gains have gotten bigger. This man bun might be getting cut off soon. Gator Paws. Hi, I've been building myself up and do 15K steps a day hiking. I have trouble with stairs. Is this something you think I can build up over time? I get dizzy, breathless, and heart rate skyrockets. Is this something I just need to push through? So that's super common with POTS too. The trouble with stairs. Let me tell you this. Everyone in life has trouble with stairs. Every single person. You just don't notice it. Like people who are not chronically ill, who like are otherwise fit, have trouble with stairs. I personally have trouble with stairs every single day, and I've competed in CrossFit. I've done an ultra marathon attempt. I've done whatever. For whatever reason, stairs are just, I don't know. Stairs are just different. So what I would say though is if you're hiking and you're in the spot where you're doing 15K steps a day, like you're doing pretty freaking awesome. You're doing really, really good. Stair stepper might help you out on that, but I would just say in life, just be prepared for stairs to always suck. I've never had anybody, even my normal fitness clients, I have a pretty big fitness clientele, like Gen Pop clientele that don't complain about stairs. Everyone complains about stairs. All right. So yeah, just push through it basically. Samir, yes, that it makes sense. I started swimming and my blood pressure don't spike at all, doing already around 5,000 steps a day. Awesome. That's great. But always dizzy and unstable when walking upright. Yeah, so that is going to be something. So Samir, there's a couple things. You might have to look at your hydration protocol. And I don't mean just like how much water do you drink? I mean electrolyte balance. And then also food. Like how often are you feeding? What's your blood sugar spiking like? Because this is something that's super common for people with POTS too, is that they do not have their food right in terms of like the quantity and quality of food that they're eating. All those things compound, and those are all things that we teach in the program for sure. How to balance your meals, how frequently to eat, what should your macros look like. Believe it or not, macros are super important for people with POTS. I used to not teach that to people with POTS, but I am increasingly seeing that it is more and more important to count your macros for somebody with POTS, to make sure that they eat enough. Thanks. I want to eventually do the Manitou incline. What is that? Manitou incline. LOL, working hard to push myself. Mine was caused from a CSF leak a year ago. I am so pissed. My fear stage and managed with electrolytes. I am past my fear stage and managed with electrolytes and diet. That's amazing. Yeah. Lifestyle goes a really long way, guys. Lifestyle is so underrated for POTS. Everyone is looking for the medication. Everyone is looking for the diet or not the diet model, the supplement model, and everyone like wants these quick answers. And really there's no quick answer. I get people better typically in like 6 weeks. That's generally my timeline. Better is relative, right? Definitely better from where they currently are. Usually within 6 weeks by doing, lifestyle shit. And so the lifestyle things that I always recommend to people and that are built into our program is sunlight, sleep wake cycle, grounding, breath work, and exercise. Those are the 5 things. Those are the 5 pillars of how we help people get better. And I think that, I used to be heavy on the supplements and like electrolytes and water and all these different things. But I've really, really, really noticed that the most important things and the most beneficial things that really tend to help people long term, because you're not always going to have access to the perfect situation, is the lifestyle habits. That's always the number one. And so I think that you guys got to really get on those 5 pillars. That is going to help the most. You guys, I want more questions from you. Let me know, what are you guys struggling with? What do you need help with? What do you need to know? We've got something pretty cool coming up for this channel. I took a break with coaching POTS clients for what? Not that's not true. I have still a good amount of POTS clients. I still have a good amount of POTS clients, but what we are like actually going to do now, we're developing this as we speak, is creating a membership based program where you get weekly Skype calls. It's like a group coaching thing. You get access into our app, you get in the community, weekly group coaching calls where you guys get to ask questions, super not personal or whatever to your, actually personal to your situation. But it's the protocol that I give to everybody. So basically what it is, it's a lifestyle program. So there is an exercise program in there, but most importantly, and it's the model that I typically use for people, but what is most important that's in there is basically the lifestyle stuff, giving you guys the resources, teaching you guys like this is how you implement, this is how you do things. And then 1 to 2 weekly Skype calls for just the community on like in a group setting where everybody gets to come in, talk about their wins, talk about, stuff like that. And then ask questions. Like, what are the questions that you guys have? And you'll ask me and the other coach and I. It's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be the most comprehensive thing that is on the internet for POTS people. Gator pause. Exercise has helped so much. I was basically bedbound for a couple months and I pushed through it all slowly. Your videos have helped me so much. So I thank you. You rock. Yeah, dude, absolutely. I'm happy to hear that. That's amazing. Yeah, that's super cool. I think it's great that like YouTube is such a cool platform where you can just like give out free information and help people, and it just reaches the masses. Like I didn't even realize I looked on this thing today, this little phone of mine, and looked at my YouTube studio. I hadn't posted in 63 days. 63 days. May 1st was the last video. And there's 247 views on this video and 19 likes and 12 comments. Like it's nuts. It's nuts how many people are suffering and getting value from this stuff. So yeah, we're gonna do a community based on this, okay? Because I think it's like super important. Most of my business now is online, which is super cool. So I get to be home, be attentive to it. Yeah. What other questions do you guys got for a young man? What else do you want to know? There's got to be more questions. There's a bunch of people in here. Not a bunch of people, but there's, some people in here. I haven't gone live in so long, dude. I don't even know like what. I don't even know what would be a good subscriber amount to have, or viewership amount to have. What's the biggest struggle that you guys deal with when it comes to your POTS syndrome? What is the biggest struggle that you guys deal with? Got any tips for burpees and stuff where you put your head down? Because that also sucks with POTS, LOL. So this is a great question. I actually I've talked about this in other lives before. Like, yeah, I'm like remembering this pretty clearly. I actually think that burpees are I used to call them the dumbest exercise that anybody could do until I started CrossFit. I actually think that burpees are one of the most efficient exercises for people with POTS specifically because it puts you in those different planes of movement, right? Like it puts you on the ground. You have to get up right away, on the ground and get up right away. I personally think that's like the best thing that somebody with POTS can do because you're creating those adaptations. So what I would say is this. There are so many variations of burpees. You can do the up down, which is basically just going down on your hands in a plank and then standing back up. What I would say is you should do what's called like a grief burpee to start, which is basically lowering yourself down super slow, like a crawl, right? And then slowly slithering yourself to the ground, pushing yourself up, and then slithering your way back up to your feet. So like stepping up and slowly getting up and slowly going down. I would do your first session, your max tolerable amount, right? So like as soon as you start getting symptomatic, stop. And like that's different for everybody. You might think like I'm getting symptomatic after one rep because you got a little bit dizzy. No, I mean like actually symptomatic. Like you're feeling like shit because of it. Like you're really, really dizzy, not just like a little bit dizzy. Like you really feel like shit. That's when I would like be like, okay, let's lay down. Let's just like take a chill pill. Let's cool it. Yeah, that's how I would do it. Grief burpees. Grief burpees are probably your best strategy in that situation. But I think that basically everyone with POTS should be engaging in burpees at some point. Something that I want to assure you guys for sure, though, for certain, right, is that you like you are not going to like you're not going to die exercising. Okay. And so like somebody might be like, burpees, really? What if my heart rate like goes crazy because but one thing that you have to know is that like burpees make every person's heart rate go crazy. Literally everybody's heart rate. So like you're not going to be anything special. You're not going to be the special case where like the burpee kills you. Hopefully not, right? Like most likely not the case. So always do as much as you can do in terms of like try to push yourself a little bit. You know, the thing with people with POTS is that they're so hesitant because they're so scared. And I've talked about this. If you haven't watched any of my prior videos when it comes to POTS, you should, because I talk a lot about mindset and how the limiting mindset is really holding you back. A lot of you guys are just not doing what you're capable of because you're scared instead of like doing what you're capable of, right? So like and this is just a super hyperbolic and a super hyperbolic example. You might be capable of running a mile, but you're just not because you're afraid to, right? And it's not actually the case that like you can't do it. It's just like you're afraid that you might feel the uncomfortability. So you might like get a symptom and be like, oh shit, like I can't breathe, I have air hunger or whatever. But that symptom is like it is anxiety. I'm gonna gaslight you. Okay. It's anxiety that you're feeling. It's not reality. Like if you put a pulse ox on, you're not gonna be at 72, right? You'll probably still be at like 93. I had a client way back, probably like a year now. And we had been building her up. So like she got better after probably, I think it like took 2.5 months for her to like really feel kind of more like herself. And we had been progressing running for her. So like we started with like walking for longer periods of time. Then we started with jog walks and then run walks type thing. And she ended her time with me. I think it was like probably 6 months that we worked together. And she was like, I just really want to run a mile. And I was like, hey, dude, I hate to break it to you, but you've run a mile already. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, you've run a mile. You just haven't done it straight, but you've run a mile. You have worked up to that volume already. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So like the only thing that's holding you back now is your brain. Go do it. And she did it. She ran a mile. I mean, it's one of the coolest things for me as a coach is like hearing this stuff happen, just like seeing this stuff happen. Like I don't know. It just gets me every time. Like somebody that was literally like in a wheelchair, not functional, ended her time with me running a mile. That's freaking crazy. And so if there's any proof that like it is totally possible to recover, it's that. It's that. So that's all I got today. I just wanted to hop on and say what's up, guys. We are gonna go live tomorrow again with an old friend. His name is Mick Salty. We're gonna go live with him. He was one of my not original POTS clients, but he was one of my POTS clients about a year ago. And we had started going live together a couple times a week. No, I think we only went live together like a few times actually. We had started going live together. And people really enjoyed it. People really liked us going live together. So we are going to go live together. And something really cool that we are going to announce, I'll give a little tidbit here right now, is what I was talking about before, the community, the program that we are about to release. So we're going to release this program for Potsies because I genuinely think that I know for a fact that I am one of the people in the industry with the most experience in terms of POTS people, 100%, and have some of the most transformations in terms of POTS people. And so I want to create something that is accessible to a lot more people with POTS. It's going to be community-based. It's a group coaching thing. It's within an app. You get a workout program. You get a diet model to follow, at least diet advice to follow. You're going to get supplement recommendations. You're going to get, just so much lifestyle intervention, reminders for lifestyle intervention. And so, yeah, it's going to be a really good thing. So if you guys want more information on that, or if you want information on one-on-one coaching from either of us, him or I, shoot me an email at jqfit1@gmail.com. I want you guys to be prepared and ready for the community-based thing. That's going to be put at a price point of $59.99 per month, which is probably like the cheapest program that you're going to get access to for anything. $59.99. It's going to have the most comprehensive things for you, the most reminders, the most like literally, if you don't get better doing the program, if you don't get better in that community, you're just I don't even know what to say to you. You're literally not following it. It's going to be the same exact framework that I give my one-on-one clients, except without a one-on-one program. So without an individualized program, it will be comprehensive. You're going to absolutely make progress on it. You're going to get weekly Skype calls, group coaching Skype calls. And that's basically it. $59.99. That's the offer for that. So if you guys have any questions on that, feel free to shoot me an email, jqfit1@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you got some value. Talk to you guys later. Peace out. Goodbye.